Alrighty, so let's talk about week 11 in CIT 28. I mentioned this, I'm pretty sure last week, but if I didn't now, let's actually make it a little more formal. Is that at the end of this week, we are on spring break for a week. So if I roll over to the calendar for our course, you can see what day I'm actually on. I'm on the 12th, but what we're talking about is at the end of this week. So today I'm going to be talking about the Moneyball last problem set for our relating. And at the end of that week, actually in the afternoon on the 27th, I'm going to be traveling until the 4th. So I'll be traveling for a week during that time. And, spring break is just that, is the idea of to take a break if your schedule allows. I get it. Not everybody can take a break based on your life. But I would say for the course, if you're up to date and you're hearing this announcement somewhere in this week, you're up to date in the course. Now, there may be students that are in the actually working a little behind, and this is an opportunity to get caught up. Okay, so just to say that, for the purposes of our class during this week, so between 11 and if I roll forward, then between 11 and not until 12. So this week, the last week of April, beginning of March into April is our spring break. Okay, so just know that this is true. Know that if you're reaching out to me during break, I will probably not get back to you right away because it will depend on, honestly, just my internet and where I'm going to be. So let me roll back here. So that's the spring break. And I've already had, at this point, even in week 9, I think I already have the interviews sessions filled for before spring break. But please get on the schedule. It's the sooner the better. Just, try to if you're fearful, this is where getting help, doing mock interviews with the prompt that I gave you or with Brianna is really helpful. Okay, so let's talk about week 11. So this is our last problem set. We continue the problem set 1, and now we're into Moneyball. So if you've seen the movie or if you are a baseball fan, you most likely have heard about Moneyball, where the idea was that once there was somebody who actually knew enough about data that they could analyze players, there was a whole bunch of money to be made by optimizing the player selections. So what this is this is a scaled down version of a Moneyball database. And we'll just look at the instruction here. Okay, so for attendance, which is this part, you're creating that PS1 folder. Well, sorry, inside, you have already created it. But at the same level that you created DCSE, and then at the same level that you also had packages, you'll create Moneyball. And now let's just go ahead and look at the schema. Okay, so this is the schema itself. These are, represents all the major league players, teams, salaries, and performances up to 2001. Okay, so it represents the players. So we have a player table, we have a salary table, we have a teams table, and a performance table. And you can see the relationships as they exist here. Okay, so spend some time definitely looking at each table just to give an idea. So when you're actually approaching the problem, you have at least looked at it. Again, not unlike what we've done. We're not doing the problems out of there, but we're using the database from here. Okay. Okay. So back here. So now in your current folder, change your current folder to Moneyball, okay, your terminal, and then use this command to grab the database, okay? And then create a new query file from a previous one. And I didn't say comment out, but hopefully by now you're used to that. Any previous queries, and then create a README file. And then in the README, do Moneyball, and then update. And this is the name of the query file to output to the data set. And then do our typical data set stuff. Okay, have tables, schema, write a query to list the first 10 records, because there's definitely a lot of records in here, but let's just have at least an idea for the 4 tables that exist, and then do a commit. Say comment out the queries and commands above, and then update oh, I got to fix that. I just saw it. I had the wrong query file there. And then output it to POW week 11 attendance, because we're going to do like we did last time. We're going to have a problem that you're going to do. And then create in that README file your attendance problem. And this, remember, your README file is your proof of effort. Make sure you're using those backticks in there so that you can actually show me your attempts, because it's an important part. So like last time, I did the instructions the same way this time. So before we jump to the problem, let's actually go down and look at that workflow. So you're going to repeat this for all 6. Okay, so for each problem, now I've already given you a heading for the attendance one, but give your best guesses in the terminal. And again, if you're kind of like me, you may write them in the query file and then paste them to see if they work. But this is where I expect to see definitely some proof of effort and logic for how you get to it. Now, I do provide validation, so it shows you what you should be getting out. Only copy working queries into the MBall SQL, the official solution, right? And then immediately after you get that, then do your generate your proof of work and then do your commit, okay? Clean it up and then repeat for the next one. Okay. All right. So again, here's your workflow: attempt, fail, verify, refine, and finalize. Now these are the queries that you'll do for them. But let's scroll back up now and look at the one you're going to do for attendance. Okay, so in the year 2001, you were hired by the Oakland Athletics. Your first task is to audit the roster during this iconic season to see how the A's were spending their limited budget. So it actually shows you what columns you want to include, okay, for each player for Oakland, right? So find and salary, okay, for each player in the Oakland Athletics for 2001. And I even give you in this one the architectural constraint that you have to do a triple join here to get all those pieces. And I even suggest you use aliases to help you write definitely a triple join in this case. Okay, so you're going to attempt that one. Okay, and then like I said, here's your validation, what it should look like, how many rows, and remember I've shown you in the past how to count. But because this one's going to be the only one in your proof of work, you can just look at it to see if it hits there. So just know that. Okay. All right. So then change your, once you finish this and you do your response, which we'll talk about in a minute, then you'll actually change your proof of work file, text file, and then continue with the problems. Okay. All right, so let's come back here. So once you attempt that, right, once you attempt the query, and this is really important, and I want to say this. So if you're somebody who is like, I'm working at the last minute, I have no time to do this, I don't want to do this because I'm just stressed, and you skip right to watching the solution, you're really hurting your skill acquisition for this class. And what it takes to pass a technical interview is being willing to give the time and the effort to actually really attempt to write queries. Because once you watch a solution, the more helpful that solution is related directly to as much time as you give your understanding of first what the question is asking for, and then what is the what effort did you put into understanding the database to attempt to write the query. So if you are somebody, and I get it too, I get that life is stressful and that sometimes we just want to get it done. But sometimes when we do that, we're bypassing the most important part of actually learning. Okay, so 50 points comes from your proof of effort, your proof of work, and the correct query output. Okay. So, and then in your reply, tell us about your experience of attempting a problem, and should be ask. I'll fix this. Ask any questions you have regarding this new database, and then do a substantive reply. Okay. Now, like before, I do offer up the, and many of you are taking advantage of it. So you have to complete 1, 2, 3. Give me your commit history. I will take a look at the ones that you've done, right? And give you feedback on them. before you try the rest. Where did I have that? Oh, here. I was like, where'd that go? Okay, so I hope this helps you understand what you need to do this week. Have a great week. Please know the schedule as it is at the end of this week and how next week is a break. So if you're reaching out, just know that I am off duty for next week, and I hope you get a break as well. Okay, see you later.